Walk into any merchant's house in Europe. Look at the records. You'll find slips of paper, notes and margins, promises scribbled on the back of letters. Nobody knows what they own. Not really. A friar is about to fix that, and the fix will outlive every empire that uses it. This is Libromastro, History's Accounts. Every empire kept a ledger. We open them. Picture a merchant in Venice. Call him Antonio. Antonio sells wool from England, buys spices from Alexandria, lends silver to a Florentine bank. 3 deals, 3 currencies, 6 counterparties. When the year ends, Antonio wants to know one thing. Did I make money or did I lose it? He cannot answer. His records are everywhere. A debt to a wool supplier on one page, a payment from a Florentine on another, a loan to his cousin in the margin of last month's letter. Some numbers exist in his head, some exist nowhere. The richest merchants in Europe, running fortunes worth tens of millions of today's dollars, were doing arithmetic by guessing. This is the problem the friar is about to solve. And it took him almost no math. The friar's name is Luca Pacioli. He is not a banker. He is not a merchant. He is a mathematics teacher, a Franciscan traveling between Italian courts, tutoring the sons of merchants and dukes. Which means Pacioli sat at the exact intersection where the problem lived. He taught the children of the people losing track of their fortunes. He saw their father's books. He watched accountants in Venice work, practitioners with techniques nobody had ever written down. For 2 centuries, Venetian merchants had been refining a method, passed master to apprentice, never codified, never taught outside the trade. Pacioli's gift was not inventing the method. It was something rarer. He was the first person willing to write it down. In 1494, he publishes the book, 600 pages, mathematics, geometry, proportions. Buried inside it, a chapter of 27 pages on bookkeeping. Those 27 pages will outlast everything else in the volume. Here is what Pacioli wrote down. The method has one rule. Every transaction is recorded twice. Once as where the value came from, once as where it went. Antonio sells wool for 100 ducats. He writes that twice. Cash up by 100, wool inventory down by 100. He pays a sailor 10 ducats, cash down 10, labor expense up 10. Every entry has a mirror. Nothing exists in only one place. If both sides do not match, at any moment, on any day, across any number of transactions, Antonio knows something is wrong. The math itself becomes the auditor. Sounds trivial. It is not. For the first time in commerce, a merchant can ask his books a question and trust the answer. How much do I owe? What do I own? Did this venture profit? Did that partner cheat me? Before Pacioli, those questions had opinions. After Pacioli, they had numbers. Pacioli did not keep the method secret. He printed it. The book is called the Summa. Venice, 1494. The printing press is 40 years old. The city is Europe's commercial brain. Within a decade, Pacioli's bookkeeping chapter is being copied, sometimes translated, sometimes lifted whole, into manuals in Germany, the Netherlands, England. A generation later, a German family called the Fugger is running the largest commercial empire in Europe. Silver mines, copper monopolies, loans to emperors. They keep their books on the Venetian method Pacioli had just codified. They are not the exception, they are typical. By the middle of the 16th century, double entry is not a Venetian secret anymore. It is the operating system of European commerce. A 27-page chapter embedded inside a mathematics textbook becomes the way the world keeps score. And then it stops changing. What Pacioli wrote in 1494, debits, credits, journal, ledger, is what a Goldman Sachs analyst learns on day one of training. 5 centuries later, same words, same logic. Here is what changes once you can trust your books. Partners. 5 people pool capital because the books will show who put in what and who takes out what. The partnership becomes durable. Shares. I can sell a tenth of a venture to an outside investor because the books will tell him honestly what a tenth is worth. The share is born. Credit. A bank can lend to a merchant because it can read his books and price the risk. Modern credit is born. None of these ideas required double entry to exist. Partnerships, shares, loans, they are older than Rome. But none of them work at scale without it. You cannot run a joint stock company on memory and slips of paper. You cannot float a corporation on the word of a single merchant. Pacioli did not build the financial system. He built the floor it stands on. Every later financial invention, the corporation, the stock exchange, the audit, the central bank, assumes Pacioli's method already exists, builds on top of it, cannot work without it. Open the annual report of any public company today. Apple, Toyota, a small business filing taxes in Ohio. Pull out any balance sheet. You will see 2 columns. Assets on one side, liabilities and equity on the other. The 2 columns are equal. They are required by law to be equal. That equality is Pacioli's rule. Every entry recorded twice, the math itself the auditor. The International Accounting Standards, IFRS in most of the world, GAAP in the United States, are technical elaborations of a method a friar wrote down in a Venetian printing shop. There have been 5 centuries of refinement. Depreciation rules, revenue recognition, hedge accounting, tax treatment of stock options. The core rule has never changed. Trillions of dollars move through the world economy every day on a foundation laid by a Franciscan friar who was mostly trying to teach geometry to merchants' sons. The story of double entry is not a story about accounting. It is a story about what becomes possible when an invisible system gets written down. For 2 centuries, the technique existed. Practitioners knew it. Apprentices learned it by watching. But it lived in heads, in habits, in unstated rules. The moment Pacioli put it on paper, it stopped belonging to Venice. It belonged to everyone who could read. That is the pattern. Empires do not shift because someone invents a new machine. They shift because someone codifies an old one. The next time you see a balance sheet, assets on the left, liabilities on the right, the 2 sides equal, remember, a friar wrote that down in 1494, and the world has been keeping his books ever since. This is Libromastro, history's accounts. We're just opening them.